A new proposal by Iran to impose a tolling system in the Strait of Hormuz has sparked fierce opposition from the United States. With global economic stakes on the line, here's everything you need to know about this escalating crisis and its potential implications. As the situation unfolds, several potential scenarios could emerge from this escalating crisis involving Iran's recent tolling proposal. This proposal, which threatens to impose fees on oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, has raised alarms internationally and has the potential to disrupt global oil supply routes. The first possibility is de-escalation, where diplomatic channels successfully lead to Iran retracting its proposal. Such an outcome would likely calm financial markets, which have already begun to react to the uncertainty surrounding oil supply, and could prevent a potentially disastrous military confrontation. Alternatively, if Iran persists in its stance, we could see increased military deployments in the region from the US and its allies. This scenario could lead to a high-stakes standoff, heightening the risk of miscalculations that might inadvertently spark conflict. The third scenario involves a broader regional response, where Gulf states might align with the US to oppose Iran's actions. This could set the stage for economic sanctions or combined military exercises, further complicating the geopolitical landscape. The implications of these developments are profound, as they could destabilize an already volatile region and impact global energy prices significantly. Historically, tensions in this area have led to spikes in oil prices, affecting economies worldwide. In the coming days, observers should closely monitor signals from both US and Iranian leaders, as well as reactions from global energy markets. How the US chooses to respond will not only affect the immediate crisis, but also shape the long-term stability of the Middle East. With energy security on the line, the next steps taken by all parties involved will be crucial in determining whether peace or conflict will define the future dynamics of this tense situation. The potential for renewed diplomatic efforts remains, but the clock is ticking. The Strait of Hormuz has long been a focal point of international tension, primarily due to its critical role in global energy supply. Approximately 20% of the world's oil passes through this narrow waterway, making it vital to the economies of many nations. Over the past several years, Iran has faced mounting economic sanctions imposed by the United States and its allies, crippling its economy and leading to increasing desperation for leverage against Western powers. In this context, Iran has explored various methods to assert control over the strait, including a controversial proposal for a tolling system. This initiative could be viewed as a strategic maneuver aimed at reclaiming bargaining power in ongoing nuclear negotiations and regional conflicts. The U.S. has historically maintained a strong naval presence in the region to ensure the safety of shipping routes and deter Iranian aggression. Past incidents, such as the 2019 tanker attacks attributed to Iran, highlight the ongoing volatility of the area. These provocations have often prompted U.S. military deployments and further sanctions, creating a cycle of tension that has now culminated in the current standoff over the tolling system. As both nations navigate this complex web of diplomacy and military posturing, the stakes continue to rise. The potential implementation of tolls could disrupt global oil markets, leading to increased prices and economic ramifications worldwide. It may also embolden Iran to further assert its influence in the region, prompting a reevaluation of U.S. strategy. As diplomatic avenues remain strained, the likelihood of confrontation increases. In the coming months, the international community will need to carefully monitor developments, as the situation in the Strait of Hormuz could significantly impact global stability and energy security. Iran's recent proposal to implement a tolling system for vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz has sparked significant concern across global markets and geopolitical circles. The Strait of Hormuz is not merely a narrow passage. It is a vital artery through which approximately 20% of the world's oil supply flows. This strategic choke point has historically been a flashpoint for tensions, particularly between Iran and Western nations. The proposed toll could be perceived as a direct challenge to international shipping norms, exacerbating existing maritime disputes and potentially altering the rules of engagement in one of the world's most critical waterways. In response to Iran's announcement, oil prices have already shown notable volatility, with futures surging by 3% within hours. This spike reflects traders' fears of potential disruptions in oil supply, which could cascade through the global economy. Higher oil prices do not only affect the energy sector, they have far-reaching implications for transportation and manufacturing industries, leading to increased operational costs. As companies face higher fuel expenses, these costs are likely to be passed on to consumers, contributing to inflationary pressures that can impact households worldwide. Moreover, the military implications of this situation are profound. Iran's move to enforce a tolling system could provoke a robust response from the U.S. Navy, which maintains a significant presence in the region to ensure the free flow of trade. Such military posturing raises the stakes considerably, increasing the risk of miscalculations or confrontations between Iranian forces and American naval vessels. The potential for escalation is a serious concern for policymakers, as any conflict could have devastating consequences not just for the region, but for global economic stability. Looking ahead, the international community must navigate this delicate situation with caution. The U.S. response will be pivotal, as it will signal American resolve to its allies and adversaries alike. Diplomatic efforts may be necessary to de-escalate tensions and find a mutually acceptable solution. As nations weigh their strategic options, the outcomes of this situation will likely reshape the dynamics of maritime security and energy markets in the coming months, influencing global economic trends and geopolitical alliances for years to come. The next few weeks will be critical in determining whether a path toward stability can be forged or if tensions will escalate further. Today, on May 23, 2026, U.S. officials publicly rejected Iran's proposal to implement a tolling system in the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. The announcement came at approximately 10 a.m. EST following discussions among military and economic advisors in Washington. This proposal from Iran, a nation that controls access to this narrow waterway, is perceived by U.S. leadership as a significant threat to free navigation and global oil supply. The Strait of Hormuz is not only a vital maritime corridor, but also accounts for approximately 20% of the world's oil supply, making any disruption here a matter of global concern. Historically, the strait has been a flashpoint for tensions between Iran and Western nations, especially the United States. In recent years, Iran has repeatedly threatened to close the strait in response to sanctions and military presence in the region, which has raised alarms among global powers. The U.S. State Department emphasized that any attempt by Iran to enforce such a tolling system is not acceptable and could escalate tensions in an already volatile region. This critical moment differs from past maritime disputes involving Iran, as it combines economic implications with military readiness, indicating a potential for confrontation. The rejection of this proposal underscores the U.S. commitment to maintaining free navigation in international waters, which is crucial for global trade and energy security. Furthermore, it reflects the broader geopolitical struggle between Iran and the West, particularly amidst ongoing negotiations surrounding Iran's nuclear program. Increased military presence in the region may follow, potentially heightening the risk of confrontations at sea. The impact of this situation is multifaceted, posing significant challenges for both regional stability and global markets. Should Iran persist with its proposal, the likelihood of military engagement could increase, prompting a re-evaluation of shipping routes and insurance costs for oil tankers. Analysts predict that prolonged tensions may lead to fluctuations in oil prices, impacting economies worldwide. As diplomatic channels remain strained, the international community must prepare for a potential escalation that could have far-reaching consequences for energy security and geopolitical stability in the Middle East. The coming weeks will be critical in determining whether dialogue can replace confrontation in this increasingly tense landscape. As tensions rise in the Strait of Hormuz, how do you think the situation will unfold? Will diplomacy prevail, or are we heading toward conflict? Share your predictions in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for daily deep dives.